What if we start with Southern Miss? What a big win that was for the Golden Eagles going to New Orleans. Tulane was off to a 3-0 start. Southern Miss coming off a win against Northwestern State, but a tough couple of losses to start the season, and played really well. Tulane was coming off a win on the road against Kansas State. Somebody sent us a message on the C-Spire text line that says, transitive property, Southern Miss has now beaten Oklahoma.
Yeah, Southern Miss officially better than Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly how it works.
There you go. Yeah, defensively. I mean, that was a defense win. Yeah, you had a defensive touchdown, couldn't really move the ball all that much, but the Nasty Bunch got it done. That's a huge win. I mean, what were they? Almost a 2-touchdown underdog. You lose the Liberty game when you feel like you shouldn't have lost the Liberty game. And losing Saturday, going to Troy at 1-3. And by the way, Troy looks pretty darn good, don't they? They're a Hail Mary away from being 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Beat Marshall over the weekend. So you're 1-3 going to Troy, who's playing really good defense and good football right now, and a chance to drop to 1-4, and suddenly it's just feeling a whole lot like last year. But then suddenly you go down there and win.
Yeah.
And you look at the Troy game as winnable, and suddenly, boom, here you are.
Anytime you go on the road and win a conference game, it doesn't matter what conference you play in. That's a big win, 100% of the time. And especially you do it as an underdog,
that's not a conference
underdog.
Win. That's not a conference win. Tulane's in the American.
Oh, that's right.
That's a good non-conference win.
Yeah. I thought Tulane was in the Sun Belt. I don't know why.
The Sun Belt is officially the best Group of 5 conference out there.
Yeah,
forget the Power 6 crap. Sure. The Sun Belt is the best Group of 5 conference.
Do you think it's better than the American?
Yep.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. Look at the wins. Just look at the wins they have.
No, I understand.
And
what
the
you're
Americans
saying.
losing their best teams too. Don't forget. I mean, the class of the AAC
Cincinnati
is gone.
And Houston and
UCF
UAB and UCF
gone. So even if it's
UAB.
debatable right now, it's about to not be for sure.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of win Will Hall can build on.
Did you see him after the game? You knew. I mean, what a sigh of relief! I'm sure that was just a big weight off of his button-up and tied shoulders. I imagine it was a little hot in New Orleans on Saturday night. Also,
what makes you think that?
But my gosh, I mean, the way he ran up, big Southern Miss crowd there, by the way. I'm sure he was pretty fired up about that. But the way he was like tiger fist pumping, like he just won 5 Masters in a day. You could see the weight coming off of his shoulders. It's been really hard for him since he's taken over.
Yeah. And here's the thing that also, didn't blink, right? Because Tulane jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Tulane scores on its first possession to go up 7-0. They score early second quarter to go up 14-0. And then Southern Miss kind of starts chipping away. They get a touchdown. They get a field goal. It's 14-10. Tulane kicks a field goal right before the half, so it's a touchdown game. Southern Miss, it's not like they come right out of the locker room and tie it up. It's the end of the third quarter when they tie it up at 17, and then they kick a field goal, and then, Borky, to your point, defense, 35-yard interception return for a touchdown to make it a 10-point game. How big was that? Well, Tulane scored a touchdown with 19 seconds to go, and that made it a 3-point game, and then you go onside kick and the whole deal. You had just a little bit of breathing room because of that pick six, and what a win. And how about how they got it, right? So here are the numbers. Zach Wilkie, he went the distance at quarterback, 17 of 25, 194 yards. The true freshman throws 2 touchdowns with no interceptions in the game. Frank Gore carries it 44 times. Those were the only the 2 touchdowns for Southern Miss were those 2 passing touchdowns. And then you had the pick six and you had a couple of field goals.
Yeah. And Wilkie looks the part. It's, we spent so much time talking about Jackson Dart, and fans are going to need to be patient because he's young and very inexperienced and the talent's there, but there's going to be some growing pains. Same thing applies to him. He's a young quarterback, very younger than Dart. Obviously very inexperienced, but you see what's exciting. You saw it in Miami, and you saw it on Saturday night. There are things that he does poorly that you can coach out of him, and then there are things that he does where you're like, oh, okay, I see future here.
Tulane did everything better in terms of stats. They doubled Southern Miss up in first downs, 26-13. They were almost quadruple in yards rushing, 204 yards net rushing to 59. Through the air, 247 for Tulane, 194 for Southern Miss. Total offense, it was almost 200 yards different. 451 yards of total offense for Tulane, 253 for Southern Miss in the ballgame. But you know the category that matters? It's the scoreboard. The Golden Eagles had more points.
The scoreboard and that big turnover.
Southern Miss was 3 of 12 on third downs, 1 of 2 on fourth downs. Both times they got into the red zone, they scored touchdowns, that was a big deal. And made a couple of field goals. Southern Miss went 2 of 2 kicking field goals. Tulane missed 2 field goals. There's a difference in your game. Do the little things. Great win for Southern Miss.
This is the kind of win that Will Hall can. I mean, you talk about everything he wants out of a game, right? Big defensive plays, ran the ball successfully, did the little things right, as you're saying. I mean, it's like Will Hall scripted it himself. This is everything a football guy like him wants out of a game. He got it. And the win. And that's a big deal. So congratulations to Southern Miss. Absolutely earned that one. Looking ahead, what's coming up next for the Golden Eagles? Well, Borky told you just a second ago they're headed to Troy next, but that's 2 weeks from now. So they get an open date this week. So 4 games to start the year. They go 2-2. They get the open date, and then they've got to go to Troy. They host Arkansas State. They go to Texas State, and then they host the Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
It's a chance for some wins there.
There is. There's nothing easy about any of those games. But it's not like you're facing Ohio State in any of those games either. So,
all winnable. All winnable for Southern Miss.
They got to play now. That's a pretty good Troy football team. I think we have found that out since the opener when we saw them the first time.
Did you see their linebacker's helmet? So they have a 6th-year senior linebacker. I believe this was his helmet. Had 18 tackles in their win over Marshall. And they were wearing black helmets, right? All black helmets. Summerall brought his helmet to the press conference today to show everybody what it looked like after the game. He had knocked almost all of the paint off of his helmet. It looked like a black and white version of the Realtree helmets that Ole Miss are wearing. Just paint just gone from this thing. I mean, just a nasty player. He flashed against Ole Miss as well. They've got dudes. I mean, that'll be an interesting football game now.
Carlton Marshall, is that who you're talking about? Is that the linebacker's name?
18 tackles, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. He has 33 tackles through 4 games this year. He's a dude. Absolutely is.